My name is Benton Stokes. I'm a former fundamentalist, post-evangelical worship leader, and songwriter. I enjoy wry Manhattans, roller coasters, and road trips, just not all at the same time.
I'm Elane O'Rourke, and I'm a teacher, an author, and a spiritual coach. I was a philosophy professor and a liberal pastor in a couple of former lives, and these days, I love aha moments and not-so-dry martinis.
We have conversations about life and God with a queer perspective, over cocktails, like you. This is Cocktail Theology. Okay, so I literally found the recipe for and made this drink 5 minutes ago.
I'm sure it's going to be fantastic because everything you do is wonderful. And even if you get it wrong this time, you'll get it right the next time. Let me try it. I'm so excited.
Thank you for that.
Okay, this is nothing like what you normally make.
It's not, actually.
All right, I have no idea what's in this.
Okay.
I could guess, but I bet I'd be wrong.
It's mostly gin.
Really?
It's Tanqueray. Under that is a split between dry and sweet vermouth.
That part I got.
Then there's a tiny bit of cognac.
Okay.
And a healthy dose of Angostura bitters.
Okay. I got the cognac. Mm-hmm. And I got the dry vermouth, but the rest was mystifying me.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's called the Delmonico Special.
So this is, to me, a classic cocktail.
Yeah.
In flavor profile, in clarity, that kind of thing. Like, this has a little bit of the 1930s trying to come out of the Depression feeling.
It does.
Going into the Depression, trying to come out of the...
Yeah, it does.
I wasn't born. I don't know. Yeah.
It reminds me of, like, that class of gin cocktails from which the martini came. It's kind of that, the Martinez and the... the fancy gin cocktail and all of those and that's like turn of the century. That's like early.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I think there are tweaks that could make it better. But interesting. I mean, I looked at it and I had no idea what it was because it's really the color of cognac.
It is. It's a pretty color. So the Delmonico Special.
Okay.
Yeah. Today,
I'm sure you'll get it right next time.
Today, we are talking about toxic positivity.
Oh, that.
Yeah, toxic positivity. So I went looking on Psychology Today to see what they had to say about toxic positivity. And they're defining it as the act of avoiding, suppressing, or rejecting negative emotions or experiences. Okay? Now, it can take the form of denying your own emotions, but really what I want to talk about is someone else denying your emotions. So insisting on positive thinking from you instead of whatever it is you're thinking about. Right. So, like, for instance, an example might be, I don't know if I can have a relationship with my sister. She doesn't treat me with dignity and respect. And the toxically positive person responds, she's family. You should love her no matter what.
Oh, I don't hear that as toxic positivity, but I understand why you would say that. That feels just more like shaming. It is shaming.
Somebody might say, I'm having a hard day, and they respond with, but you have so much to be grateful for.
That one.
Yeah.
That's toxic positivity in my brain.
Yeah. So it's used to deny negativity. Uh-huh. Instead of saying, oh, wow, that sounds really hard, or at least just validating somebody's feelings. You don't even have to agree with their feelings, but just to say, oh, well, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Or even
I'm sorry you're dealing
say
with
more.
That. Or even say more, right.
Right.
You just immediately jump to, you shouldn't feel that way because look how blessed you are.
Oh, God.
Right?
That one. It's that one.
Yeah.
But you are so blessed. You have just been so blessed.
Right.
I mean, look at all you have. Look at all that God has done for you. I've actually heard people do that kind of thing at funerals.
Oh, yes. That's one of the big blaring that I thought of examples of, well, God just needed them in heaven. Well, what in the hell does that mean?
But not even that. Even a better one is not just God needed them in heaven, which has its own problems. So many problems.
Gross.
All the problems. Is, yes, but you got them so long. Wasn't it wonderful to have enjoyed their...
Yeah.
And you know what? You'll start dating again soon. It's a great big world out there. Okay, yeah, I got it. I got toxic. Okay, I understand.
Yeah, so really,
Wow.
What it feels like to me is that you are just completely disregarding and invalidating what the other person is sharing with you that they feel.
Right.
You're invalidating someone else's struggle or
Okay.
suffering or grief or anger or whatever that quote unquote negative emotion is that they are experiencing. You're just invalidating it by saying you shouldn't feel that way because look, it's almost like you're shaming them into saying you're ungrateful. Like
okay.
you're just ungrateful for what you have. That's not what they're saying.
Right.
But that's the kind of the shame response that I would feel if somebody said, yeah, but at least you have a job, even if you had a bad day at work.
Right.
And then it would get me thinking, well, maybe I'm just ungrateful for my job.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna fight back a little bit on the side of how is this different from? Okay. And it may not be, right? I may be totally deluded and I may need to apologize to every person I've ever met, and that's fine. What is the difference between that and trying to provide a larger perspective on something?
I think in situations that are outside your control,
Outside the person who's
who's suffering,
Okay.
outside their control, that can be helpful.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
it can be helpful if you've been laid off from your job,
Right.
for instance. And instead of just wallowing in the fact that you were laid off from your job or thinking about how unjust this is, which maybe it was, the other person could say, well, this opens up a possibility for something new. You've wanted to do this or that or whatever. Now maybe you have an opportunity to pursue that. I know that like during COVID when people were being laid off from their jobs, I was seeing a lot of that kind of thing online where people were saying, and people were using their own life experience to say, I was in this job that I didn't love and I got laid off and it was
Right.
horrible, but
Right.
then I found this.
Right.
And this is so much better.
So here's what I'm thinking. Whenever I hear phrases like toxic positivity or the word trauma now,
Sure.
or gaslighting, like you know what? If somebody says something you don't like, it's not gaslighting. You just don't like it.
You just
right?
don't like it.
So it seems to me that the toxic positivity piece is actually about a pattern or an environment.
Yes, right. Yeah, it's not a one-off comment.
And this is where churches can really go wrong, right? Okay,
Yes,
okay,
because
okay.
because there are those people that are just those toxically positive people. Like I have a friend that was telling me the other day that this woman in his church, when he was a kid growing up, she broke her arm, but she wouldn't say she broke her arm. She would say, "Oh, I'm just getting better every day."
Oh God.
Yeah, because she refused to accept the fact that she had broken her arm.
It's not just
like-
a river in Egypt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So what is that?
Okay, so maybe this is an example of this in the church context. So I remember going to a church for a brief period of time, a church that you are aware of as well, that the only music they did was happy clappy music.
Yes.
That's it.
Right.
Now, the preacher was hellfire and brimstone, but the music was all happy clappy.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, and I remember feeling really depressed one time when I went in and feeling as though I was not allowed to be depressed.
That's it.
Is that what we're talking
That's
about?
it, right.
Okay. All right, I get that.
Right. So some signs of toxic positivity might include things like denial of any negative emotions,
Okay.
invalidation of natural emotions like, anger, fear, or frustration or whatever.
Sure.
Guilt about feelings or
Okay.
projecting guilt onto somebody else.
Okay.
Inability to respect other people's emotional experiences,
Okay.
and then emotional shaming.
Okay, I get it. And this is all done under the guise of bigger, brighter, sweeter, better.
Yeah, and I think, well, in the context that I know, toxic positivity has been within the church. So it's all like if you complain, then you're somehow denying God's goodness, or you're failing to be grateful for all God's blessings.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and so things can't ever really be bad because God is so good.
Right. Wow. Yeah, okay. Okay, I get it. It's so weird to me. I mean, it's not weird because, people do all kinds of crazy stuff, but it's so weird to me because the Bible is not like that at all. Like
No.
not even in the tiniest
No.
little, there's nothing in it that's like that.
No.
You know, there is no denial of human suffering. There is no denial of the range of emotions we can have. At no point does anybody in the Bible say, just count your blessings, name them one by one.
I mean,
like at no point. In fact, the Psalms, there are three kinds of Psalms, right? Mm-hmm. There's a kind of Psalm that is a ritual church. It wouldn't be church, but gathering song of the corporate worship. Mm-hmm. There's that. But then there's songs of lament and songs of celebration or praise. But the lament is just as important, right? And if you read the Psalms, you get this whole range of the language where Jesus on the cross says, my God, why have you forgotten me or forsaken me? That's straight from a Psalm.
Yeah.
My God, why have you forgotten me? Haven't I always been good? Haven't I all of those kinds of things, right? Where the psalmist is just broken and brokenhearted.
Right.
And it isn't like God then comes along and goes, now, David, I made you king. Suck it up. It just doesn't happen.
No.
Right? So the idea that this is a Christian way of behaving is so loony.
It is loony. Yeah, I don't know how people can actually really, truly be that positive all the time. I mean, it has to border on mental illness. It's just not normal. It's just not right.
Okay. Now, I do want to distinguish, though, if I am talking about myself, if I were, this is not me. Anyone who knows me is really confident that I'm not describing myself. But the denial of my feelings or denial of what's happening versus my practicing being grateful and joyful as a counterbalance to these other things.
Right.
It is one thing to be feeling like crap, to acknowledge that you feel that way, to figure out what is bothering you, or just to live in it and experience it, and then to say, and I need to step back and remember one good thing.
No, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Those are two very different kinds of
things.
things.
Those are not the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder whether the concept of toxic positivity, not the behavior of it, but the concept of it, came out of a reclaiming of the experience of our own feelings. Right?
Okay.
So and I don't think this is true, so I'm making this up, but, if in the 1950s everything was bright colors and, everything was perfect, like you would see in some of the, Leave It to Beaver. Thank you, Leave It to Beaver. And then at some point, people who would have been Leave It to Beaver or Stepford Wives or whatever realized that had been damaging to them or were trying to reclaim their feelings, and then looked at that attitude and named it as toxic positivity. Like, it's an odd phrase. The language of toxicity has gotten a little soft.
Yeah,
it's a little squishy.
It's lost some of its meaning for sure.
But the idea that positivity being thrust on you and used to deny your lived experience. Slaves were happy.
Yes, exactly.
The slaves were singing in the fields, so they were happy.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Right. That's toxic positivity.
That is toxic positivity.
And that's so clearly not what they were doing.
That is rewriting a narrative to make everything look sunny and shiny and
to make me feel
happy,
better.
And to make those who might feel guilty or shameful over what happened feel better.
Right. Yeah, I think that may be a way to think about it for me that is helpful, is this pattern of behavior or the environment of attitude trying to whitewash, and yes, I did go there.
Yes.
Whitewash a lived reality.
Right.
That might be a way to put it.
Yeah, and in a church, it's like, we don't want this person to bring it down. Or we don't want this person to draw attention to that thing.
Right.
That would be dangerous, or that would threaten, that would make so-and-so feel bad.
Right.
Or that would make me feel bad. So we're just going to basically pretend that either didn't happen doesn't exist, or
Right.
there's an overreaction to what has happened, or an inappropriate emotional response. And that's how we're going to address that.
Okay, I am just totally reframing an experience I had. Tell me if
Wow.
this is right.
Okay.
So a long time ago, I was part of a church that actually does great work, has been really, lots and lots of good. And I'd been there, I don't know, a while, a couple of years maybe. And I was singing in the choir, which was about 110 people, gospel. I was working and doing lots of, I was just always present. So I was asked to give my testimony during the offering.
Okay.
Now, what do I know from giving testimony, right? But what I did was I got up and I said, it suddenly occurred to me this week that it's been over a year since I considered suicide.
Wow.
And I credit it to God, to this. And people were horrified that I brought up suicide.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Like if I'd said, I've been clean for a year, that would have been a celebration.
That would have been okay.
Right? But I hadn't framed it in terms of this is going to bring people down rather than building them up, even though I was giving all praise to that church and to God. Wow, I bet that's what it was.
And that might have been what it was.
Okay, I need to go back and look at my life now. but I was so grateful, and I was like, look around.
Well, of course.
This is worth supporting because I can tell you I once was lost and now I'm found.
Right.
Right, but that was not how it was seen at all.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, that's fascinating. Okay. Oh, okay, I need to go back and look at my life. I never thought of myself as affected by toxic positivity.
Well, there you go. I think anybody that's been a part of a church for any length of time has probably been impacted by toxic positivity at some point.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, it's certainly no church I've ever pastored.
You wouldn't stand for that. We are not here to deny other people's crappy realities. That's so funny. Listeners, we want to hear from you. Have you had experiences with toxic positivity? Are you yourself a toxically positive person? Have we convicted you about this? We would love to hear from you. Either way, cocktailtheology.com is where we are always, where we are. We would love to get ideas for cocktails, because this one's just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
But if you have a cocktail that you had at a party and you're like, oh, I have to share this cocktail with Benton and Elane, please do that, because we would love to hear. And topics, obviously, for conversation as well. Yep. Cocktailtheology.com is where we are. Chin up, campers. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Funny how the view can change, how life just seems to rearrange itself, no matter what it was. I don't know how it goes, but look, moving on feels pretty good. Moving on feels pretty good.
If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and hit subscribe wherever you're listening right now. We welcome your comments, questions, and ideas for conversations and for cocktails. Please get in touch with us at our website, cocktailtheology.com. Cocktail Theology is a production of SFS. Our theme song is Moving On Feels Pretty Good, recorded by yours truly, Benton Stokes. You can find my music wherever you stream your favorite artists. Join us next Thursday for another new episode.